Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture on reference resolution, pronominal Anaphora resolution and coreference resolution. So in natural language processing task, we can refer to different types of words or phrases or paragraphs based on the relationship between words or phrases in a sentence or paragraph. So this resolution technique, pronominal Anaphora resolution and coreference resolution, helps us to establish relationships between words or phrases in a sentence. We can understand how each entity is related to a particular aspect or a particular topic, and also we can analyze what are all the entities involved in a particular concept. So this type of analysis is very important for machine translation, information extraction, and text summarization task. First, let us see what is reference resolution. Reference resolution is a process of identifying the entities that have linguistic expression referring to a particular context. In a particular context, how these entities are related to each other, we can identify easily. For example, here in this expression, in this sentence, we have two sentences. The first one is John went to the store. The second one is he bought some milk. Here the word he refers to John in the second sentence. So here the word he refers to John in the first sentence. So the task is to identify this word, how it is referring to John, whether John is male or female. So based on that, it has to identify a particular person involved in this task. So it involves resolving expressions that contains pronouns or noun phrases, or the way of establishing the relationship between these words and the entities involved in the concept. We will now discuss the steps involved in this process of reference resolution. The first step is to identify the word or the linguistic entity that could be a reference. For example, the word he, she, they, maybe the pronouns. And the next step is to analyze the context to determine what or who the reference is resolving. The word he refers to John. So the NLP system should understand the context in which the word he refers to John. So whether John is a male, it has to identify it, resolving the reference. The next type of resolution technique is pronominal Anaphora resolution. So this is specifically used to identify a pronoun or noun phrase referring back to an earlier expression. So here we identify the antecedent part of a pronoun. The antecedent part may be word or a phrase. So we have to check whether this particular word she refers to Sarah in this example. So the task is to identify the word she and ensuring that the word she is referring to Sarah in the previous sentence. So it has reference to earlier sentence. So this process involves the following steps. The first one is directing the pronouns she, it, they, and all. In this example, we have the pronoun she. And the next step is to analyze the sentence structure and context to find the proper antecedent. The word Sarah is having the relationship with the pronoun she. So the third step is to understand that the pronoun she refers to the subject of the previous sentence, which is Sarah. There are challenges in this process, there may be ambiguities because the same pronoun he may refer to one person or the other person. Similarly, they may refer to one group of peoples or another group of peoples in a particular context. So in this example, she refers to any female entity mentioned before, but the system should resolve this issue, identifying the correct entity related to this pronoun she. So here, resolving the references, take it into consideration gender and number agreement, number of people involved in it, whether a single person or a group of people involved in the issue, that has to be identified. The next type of resolution is co-reference resolution. This combines all the resolution techniques. So this is a broader task of polynomial Anaphora resolution. It finds all expressions in a text and checks what all referring to the whether these are all referring to the same entity or concept. So in the given example, the pronoun he, she, it, they may be identified, and then noun phrases like the man, the president, my friend need to be identified, and also named entities like John, Paris need to be identified from the given text. So all these expressions, all these mentions of the same entity in the text need to be identified. Let us consider one example for this co-reference resolution. So we have three sentences in this passage. The first one is John went to the park. He met his friend there. That's the second sentence. The third is they decided to play basketball. So here the word he refers to John in the previous sentence, and the word his friend refers to someone other than John. The third word, that is they, refers to both John and his friend. So here we can see that the co-reference resolution involves all expressions. It identifies all expressions that refer to the same entities. So let us now see the steps involved in this process of co-reference resolution. First, we identify all potential co-referential mentions, including pronouns or noun phrases or named entities, and then we apply rules to link all these mentions. For example, the system may use syntactic cues, subject, verb, agreement, and proximity. It can also use semantic relationships or discourse level features to understand the relationship between a particular word and entities or a group of people involved in it. So ambiguity is one of the challenge. So because the same word may refer to different entities depending on the context. The word they may refer to a group involving two people only, or maybe even more than two people. So it has to resolve this ambiguity problem. Then capturing the long-term dependencies is another issue. So the system should resolve this. When we apply co-reference resolution, co-reference may not be in the immediate context, but it can be mentioned much earlier or later in a document. For example, in the previous example, the phrase the president in one paragraph may refer to the person mentioned in several paragraphs earlier or in several paragraphs later. So it has to resolve these problems to capture correct information. Now let us consider one more example. In this example, multiple entities are to be resolved. So we have the sentence, Mary and John went shopping. She bought a dress, then they went to a cafe. In this example, the word she refers to, the pronoun she refers to Mary in the previous sentence, and the word they in the third sentence refers to both Mary and Jane in the first sentence. So in this lecture, we have discussed the concept of reference resolution, polynomial Anaphora resolution, and co-reference resolution in natural language processing. Thank you all.